Hi, have you ever tried mirror stamping and thought to yourself, gosh, there's got to be an easier way to do this rather than putting it on one surface and stamping it on the other? Well, in today's video, I will show you the solution to that problem. Stampin' Up came up with a stamp set called Quiet Reflection, and it has some reflective images to it that makes that kind of stamping and that kind of technique so much easier. Day, everyone. This is Becky Tovis. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. So whether you're watching me live or you're catching me on the replay, thank you for spending some time with me today. All right. So without further ado, let me go ahead and switch my screen here so that you can see my workspace. And I'm just going to flip that switch there so that I can see any comments if they come in. So before I start talking about my project, I did want to share with you the fact that Stampin' Up still has a designer series paper sale going on. It's 15% off select designer series papers. I hope you take advantage of that. I placed an order when the sale first happened, and my box came in with all of the stamps, the designer series paper that I got on sale. And I did an unboxing for that a few days ago. Gosh, some parts, let me just adjust this real quick, because some parts of my area look kind of dark compared to how it normally is, and the light's kind of shining in my face, and that's not normally how I like it. So anyway, I just noticed my glasses were in front of my, on top of my promotional thing here. All right, so let me move this aside and let me show you the stamp set that I'm going to be working with today. It's called Quiet Reflection. It is just a stamp set. It doesn't have a die set with it, but that's okay. You can still do lots of great things with it. And this was actually the stamp set that I used recently when we had our team swap. So I shared some pictures of the beautiful cards our team members made. And I wanted to focus on this one because number one, it's an online exclusive, and that was one of the criteria. Actually, it was the only criterion for that particular swap. But I like the fact that it had so many sentiments that were perfect for making sympathy cards or comforting cards, which is unfortunately, I make more cards of that than anything else. And when I do my craft fairs and things like that, I get a lot of requests for sympathy cards. So this stamp set spoke to me. So it has different sentiments. I know the reflection is making it hard to see. So let me just read out what the different sentiments are. Praying for his comfort to soften the sadness and bring you peace. God is our refuge and strength. To remember is to give life to those we've loved and lost. The friendship of a pet is one of life's greatest gifts. This is perfect for sending a card for somebody who's lost a pet. Because let's face it, there's lots of pets in our lives, cats, dogs, and other animals that really feel like more like children, right? So when a pet is lost, the grief is real. So I really like that sentiment there. You're on my mind, and sorry for your loss. Okay. And then, like, as I mentioned before, it has a reflective quality to it. So you've got like the trees on top and then the water to simulate water on the bottom for both of these. Okay. So let me show you the swap card that I made. And then this is what I'll be demonstrating how I made it. So this is the card. Thank you for all of you who helped to help me decide, because I was really stuck. I couldn't figure out which background I wanted to use, but the majority of you said you liked the blue background, which is Misty Moonlight, with the old olive, the green on top. So that's what I ended up going with. Okay, so I'm going to put this here to try to cover the glare that shows. And for this card, it really is helpful to use the Stamparatus just because of placement and everything. And you're going to have to be stamping things multiple times, right? Or you know what? The Stamparatus is covering the glare. So I'll move that out of the way. And if you do have a Stamparatus, just remember, as a reminder, I was stamping with a friend recently, and she stored her her stamparatus like this, and this is not recommended because it puts a lot of pressure on the hinge. So if you store it, take it out of the device and then store it flat like this, okay? So that way everything is free here and you don't put undue pressure. And then when you're stamping, make sure that you have a surface here so that you want to protect the hinges so that you don't put undue pressure. So I've already kind of pre-measured everything. I know the placement for it. I put my paper here and then I put the stamp so that I know where I want it to go on the paper. And that's primarily because I wanted it to fit on the die. So I knew I was going to be using this die. This is a very popular die. This is the Spotlight on Nature die. So I needed to make sure that it fit. Whoops, those magnets are really strong, sticking all over the place, that it fit on my paper. Okay, so that's how I knew where the placement was going to be. All right, I got all these small pieces of paper here. And as I mentioned before, this is a reflective kind of stamp. And so I wanted the top part to be Old Olive and the bottom part to be Misty Moonlight, to reflect the greenery of the trees and then the blue of the water. Okay, so the stamp I'm using is this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use a masking technique. So I'm just going to use a piece of Post-it paper. You can use Post-it or you can use Stampin' Up's masking paper. And I'm going to cover half of the stamp as soon as I can get the Post-it free. Okay, so I'm going to put the Post-it kind of like at the halfway mark here. And then I'm going to ink it up first with Old Olive. Make sure that when you ink it up, look at the stamp to make sure that you got all of the places. I mean, all of the areas. See, so like some parts are uneven. I could see it. So I'm just kind of going back over it and making sure that everything has ink on it. And of course, when you're ready to stamp, don't forget to remove this Post-it because you don't want all of that stuff getting on. Okay, and then I'm going to stamp it, and I'm going to use my Chucky tool here. It just helps so I'm not putting a lot of pressure on my wrist and arm, my hand. And then I've got my Old Olive stamped. Cool, right? So I was kind of lazy and I wanted to preserve my my Post-it, so I was using the top and the bottom part of the Post-it. So let me put it here like this. And when you guys do this, when I first started doing it, I tried to put it perfectly to match it over here, but that doesn't work out. So there's a lot of times there's a white line. So instead of making it perfect, I'm putting a little bit of a gap here, so I don't get any white spots. And I think I forgot to put some washi tape. I'm trying to see if I have any next to me, and I don't. So let me grab my tape real quick. I could just use the Post-it again, but you know, I'm cheap. Kind of move, so I'm just gonna place it again. I wanted to save my my Post-its because I was making a lot for the swap and I didn't want to waste that. Okay, so now I've got this part all covered, and now I'm gonna take my Misty Moonlight and I'm going to ink the bottom part of the image, making sure that everything is covered. So even if it means kind of flipping the ink pad around, then go ahead and do that. And don't forget to remove it. And then stamp it. Ta-da! And there you have the image. Now you're going to see like a line there where it overlaps, but you know what? Don't worry about that. I think it looks nice. It just looks like the shoreline that's there. Okay, and I'm going to move this out of the way. And then what I did, when I was done with this part over here was I used the die to cut it out. So actually, you know what? I used this smaller die. So I used this die to cut it out. And then I had a layer of old olive, right? But I'm not going to do that because I did it in advance. So the wonder of, preparing, right? But what I did want to show you, oh, hi. Hey, Lise, thanks for watching. Hi, Nola. Thank you for watching. And Treen, oh my goodness, all three of you. Awesome. Thank you. So if you guys don't already have Wink of Stella, oh my goodness, this is such a great tool. So I decided I'm going to put some Wink of Stella here in the bottom to make it look like the water is shimmering, right? And it really does. You can't, I don't know if you could see it being so far away from the camera. I'll try to lift it up so that you can get a better picture of it. My sister is the Wink of Stella queen. She loves to put Wink of Stella on everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Can you see the glimmer? I made it go up a little bit. There's a little bit of delay, so I can't, yeah. There, you can see it, right? Doesn't that look like water is reflecting? So cool, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna put that on the side. And so when I'm done, it's going to look like this. So I cut out both parts here and then I adhered it together. And then what I did was I kind of played around with different things. I wanted to see what will work. And then I stamped the Sorry for Your Loss, which is one of the sentiments there. I'm a cheater. I use my circle punch, but you can use the circle dies. There's a lot of dies that come in here that you can use that too. But because I had to do so many for my swap, and after a while my shoulder starts to hurt. So I don't know if I've ever shared with you, I have a torn rotator cuff on my shoulder, so I just have to be careful not to overdo it. So constantly turning that, you can't see the hand motion, right? But constantly turning the handle for the machine after a while hurts. So if I can get away with using a punch, I will use a punch. So I use a punch for this. And then when I put it on, I thought, that's still a little bit too much blue for my taste. So then I just got a piece of Old Olive Designer Series paper. I don't even know if this is current, but with every catalog, Stampin' Up comes up with the Designer Series paper for the color families. So I just looked and see, what do I have that's in Old Olive? And so I found this, and so that's what I'm using. So this is a 1-inch strip, and then this is 1 1.25, and it's 5.5 going across because it matches the width of the card base. So I'm just going to put my glue on that. I just realized I really need to clean my glass mat. My goodness, there's so many sticky things I can feel on it. I don't know if I said that in one of my previous lives. It's like I said I'm going to clean it and I haven't done it, but I really need to clean it because I could feel some stickiness on there. Okay, so I've got that adhered, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my circle first because this is going to get tucked underneath. So I want to make sure that the circle fits more than anything else. So I've got some dimensionals already cut out, and I'm just going to put the dimensionals, oh, I should have peeked, on the bottom because I've got this piece here and I don't want it to interfere with this strip. So I'm only putting the dimensionals on the top and the bottom. And 4 should be more than enough to secure it to the card base. So I'm just going to stick it in like, whoops. Make sure I'm staying within my card base. I know somebody asked me, they're like, Becky, how come you don't fold your cards when you're working on it? And I don't, simply because I like to keep it flat. So I just guide myself with the score lines. And for the most part, it's worked, My eyes haven't failed me so much that I can't see where the ending of the card is. And I'm just going to put, use my Tombow glue. I'm going to stick it in there. And the card is done. Now, if I wanted to, I can put some embellishments and some bling on it. But because this is a condolence card, I just wanted to keep it more on the softer side and not have too much bling bling, right? So there's my card. I hope you like it, And then for the inside, I went ahead and I stamped one of the other sentiments. God is our refuge and strength. So let me go ahead and put this in now before I forget, so that I know that this card is complete. Sometimes I forget to do the inside, and when I'm going to give the card and I open it up and I realize it's blank, man, I should have taken care of it when I was working on it on my live. So there you go. God is our refuge and strength. Now the card is done. Voila, all finished. Fin, right? I don't know which language that is. So now it's complete. All right, so let me show you the other cards that I made using the stamp set. So this is another thing that we do. So I'm trying not to, when we do our swaps, put my name on it. So I just stamp it on the Post-it and I stick it to the card. So that way they can remove it. So if they want to give it out, the other team members, they can. Even though they didn't make it themselves, but we have so many swaps from each other that it's a way to, make sure that it gets used. All right, so let me show you some of the other cards. So this one over here, I stuck with Misty Moonlight. And then what I did, you're probably wondering how this one looks soft and this one looks darker. What I did was when I used the Stamparatus, I just stamped it twice. And then for the image on the top, I inked it up again. And then I stamped it again. So that's how you can get that same effect. One side is lighter than the other. I tell you, the Stamparatus really is an excellent tool when you're making cards with this stamp. Okay, and I did the same thing here. I stamped it twice and I inked it up darker for this one. And then this is one of the, I don't know, is this in the stamp set? This little diamond? No, it's not. I must have gotten it from one of the other stamps. After I put it on, I said, I don't like it. But, at the time I didn't know that. So, okay. All right. And then this one, I wanted to show how you can use designer series paper to help with your card. So this is from the Thoughtful Journey. Is that what it's called? Thoughtful Journey. And the card has pinks and blues on the top and mostly blues on the bottom. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to use this stamp set. So when I stamped it so that I used a darker color in the top and a lighter color on the bottom. So it looks like, I hope, that it's either in the dawn hours, in the morning hours when things are pink, or when the sun is setting. I'm quite happy with the way this card turned out. And I didn't have to do, a lot of the work with blending and things like that because the designer series paper did the work for me. Okay. This one, I used blending brushes. So I stamped it with black memento. And then I used Pool Party on the top and Misty Moonlight on the bottom. And I saw one of the demonstrators, she left a white spot here, and I thought, oh, that's great because it looks like the reflection of the light, right? And then I just put You're on My Mind, and I just put a piece of twine in the middle just to separate the two images. Very simple card. And then the other cards that I made, there are two images that have a reflection on it. And for these cards, I used one image, and I thought, you know what? I got to share the love. So these cards here I made with the previous in colors. This is the copper one. This is the Pebble Path. And then this one is the Moody Mauve. Because the color scheme for these cards, I think, are perfect for making condolence cards. And I used the designer series paper. So very simple design, but I used it to coordinate with each other. So these are very monochromatic designs, but they work, right? They work. So I hope that my video paused there for a second. I hope that these cards are interesting to you and they inspire you. And I hope you realize how simple it is to make cards using them. You know, the masking technique is not difficult at all. And if you want to keep it simple, just use the monochromatic effect. Just keep it all one color and it makes such pretty cards. So I hope that I've inspired you. And if you guys have any questions or you want to reach out, please do. And thank you again for watching. And I'll see you next Friday. Just a little heads up. So next Friday, I'm not going to be coming to you live. I'm going to be pre-recording my demonstration simply because one of our choir members died, and so her funeral is that day. So we're going to be singing for her funeral. So I'll see you the week after that live. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. Bye.